Hi and welcome to another video. And while I'm doing my second solo flight here, which was a 1-hour navigation flight, I want to talk about some stuff. First of all, I want to thank everyone for the overwhelming feedback on my last video. Well, I put a lot of work into that video, but I never expected to get so many positive comments and congratulations and everything. And it's just wonderful to see that my video inspires people just the way that I've got inspired by videos that other people uploaded on YouTube. But between all those positive comments, there were also some comments that were raising concerns, which I completely understand, and I wanted to take this opportunity to talk about it. The concerns were mainly about filming your first solo. Before I start, I just want to make clear that this is just my opinion as a student pilot. It's also possible that my opinion might change while I gather experience, and I'm also happy to hear your opinion in the comments. So first of all, I want to talk about 4 general problems that cameras can cause in a cockpit, especially on first solo, how those problems apply to my situations, and after that I will talk about 4 positive sides of having cameras in the cockpit. As you all know, flying an aircraft requires a lot of attention, so it's very important to set the right priorities, which are generally aviate, navigate and communicate. By aviate we just mean like fly the plane, make sure you have it under control and so on. The rest should be clear. But that's not everything, especially when flying in VFR, like with visual flight rules, it is very important to constantly scan the sky for traffic, as there is no traffic separation provided by an ATC outside of specific airspaces, and an anti-collision warn system is not mandatory yet in Switzerland. So as you can see, there is quite some workload and any unnecessary distractions need to be avoided. But is a camera a distraction? I think it depends on the following points. Number 1. Feeling uncomfortable being recorded. Most people actually do, as it takes some time getting used to have a camera pointed in your face. This nervousness can even be greater on your first solo, as it is a very special occasion and you really don't want to mess up. Since we had to postpone my personal first solo a lot due to weather, I was more than ready for it and thus did not feel very nervous. And regarding the camera, after over 250 YouTube videos, you kinda get used to record stuff, so that wasn't really a factor for me, especially if I'm the one that gets to cut everything. Second, operating the camera. If you would have to operate the camera during flight, I would call it a no-go. In my case, I set the cameras up using quick capture. That means I press one button before takeoff, they switch on, start recording, and I don't touch them anymore. One exception, however, would be when I'm flying with my flight instructor. I could give him the controls over the plane if I really needed to check something with the cameras. And of course that would have the lowest priority. The third point would be blocking the view. A GoPro is not very big, but it still takes some space, and in this case it would actually be enough for a plane to be covered by it if you're really unlucky. However, it only takes a slight head movement to look around it. So I would say in this case it is acceptable as long as you're aware of it. The fourth point, talking to the camera. Talking takes capacity. That's why airline pilots, for example, are not allowed to talk about anything non-flight related from pushback up until reaching 10,000 feet. They also call this the sterile cockpit. If you watched my first solo video, you might think that I was constantly talking to the camera because I cut out a lot of silence. In reality, I did not talk much, and if I did, it was mostly the checks I did. And yeah, I just commented what I was doing at the time, which actually took away the nervousness. During the critical parts like on final, I didn't talk at all. Furthermore, I think a student pilot that has no capacity left to comment once in a while what he or she is doing is not really ready for his first solo, is he? Or she? So from these 4 points, it is quite clear that recording your first solo can be dangerous for some students. It really depends on the situation, and it is important to think it through in an honest and rational way. In the end, however, the flight instructor needs to decide if it's okay or not. By the way, here's a quick example of how difficult it can be to actually see traffic while flying. This helicopter was far away and no factor, but it's still good to know that it's there. Of course, there are also some positive sides of recording flights. First of all, it's obviously a wonderful memory, especially the first solo, and for me it's just wonderful to have a video of that unforgettable day. It would also be okay without a video, it's just nice. Second point, it's a really nice feedback tool. Well, this is just about cockpit cameras in general. I use them for feedback a lot because I have this POV camera on my headset and I see everything that I did in a flight. Watching the video, you see stuff from another perspective, so quite helpful for me. And the third positive point would be inspiration. As I mentioned before, I got inspired by a lot of aviation videos. Not only that, I also learned a lot. I just think it's beautiful if you get inspired by others, you return that by inspiring others. I don't know if that's how you say it in English, but yeah, I think you get the point. The fourth positive point would be, if you know in the back of your mind that there are cameras running, I think it would motivate you to do everything as good as you can. At least if you want to have a good video and you don't want people to think that you're an idiot pilot that doesn't do the things correct. So yeah. So as a conclusion, I would say cameras in the cockpit are quite controversial, and I can really understand people that say that they don't like it. And I just think it's important to think about it, to talk about it, and to decide for yourself if it's okay or not, and to be aware of the risks that the cameras bring with them. So yeah, let's end this video with a beautiful landing back at my home field, Botville. And yeah, it's really spelled Botville, but it doesn't have anything to do with bots, don't worry. Thank you very much for watching, and don't forget to share your opinion on the topic in the comments below. And you can also write about other topics that you want me to talk about. Peace out!